up? Hey, look. Reverse the screen. Hey.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another awesome adventure today.
Woohoo! Welcome back, guys. Online Adventures. Hey, Rocket. I'm Kenny Bear. Rocket, you ready to go? Today?
I sure am, but wait, there's one thing I got to do first. I almost forgot. Hold on, guys. Come with me. Whew, I almost forgot. I have to water my plants today. I almost forgot. Whew. All right, Mr. Kenny. Just had to do this really quick before we got started.
Oh, yeah, some great sunlight there, too, as well. But yes, guys, Rocket, you mind being the flag as we get started, and as I do the Pledge of Allegiance?
Absolutely. All right, guys.
Okay, Scouts, make sure if you have your shirt on, your Scout shirt on, you're going to go ahead and Scout salute. Otherwise, hand over your heart. Repeat with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great job, guys, too. Rocky, you want to go ahead and do the oath and law for us?
Absolutely. Remember, you guys, when we do our Scout oath and our Scout law, we take our Scout sign, which for you guys is the 2 fingers, and put them straight in the air. Are we ready? Signs up. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duties to God and my country and to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, and to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. 2, good job, you guys. That was great. Hey, does everyone remember what our Scout motto is?
Do your best, Rocket.
Do your best. That's right, guys. And today we're going to do our best just like we do every other day. Hey, Mr. Kenny Bear, what are we doing today?
Wow, Rocket. You know what we're going to do today? We're going to do something that's very important to all humans that we need on a daily basis to help us survive. We're going to talk about plant life. Woohoo!
Plant life. Oh, I've been waiting for this day. Plants are super important to everyone. Isn't that right, Mr. Kenny?
Absolutely, Rocket. They're important to living things every day. We need them to live, to help us breathe. They provide many products for us as well. And plants help maintain the atmosphere, Rocket. They produce oxygen and a whole lot of other scientific terms that we don't have to get into right now. But I know it's good for definitely medicines and pesticides and oils and fibers and timber and fiberwood. So we need all those things, and plants help provide that. So we're going to take some time and get ready to get started and learn how seeds grow from plants.
That's awesome. So you heard him, guys. We're going to go meet our friends over at Sci-Fi Kids, and they're going to show us how a seed turns into a plant.
Oh, hey guys, Squeaks and I are checking out our plants and they look great. It's almost hard to believe that these beautiful flowers and plants came from the teeny tiny seeds we put in the pots just a few weeks ago. You might be familiar with the little packets of seeds that you use to grow flowers or vegetables in your garden, or maybe the sunflower seeds that you find in your snack mix. But did you know that popcorn kernels, beans, peas, acorns, and rice are also seeds? Well, one of our friends, 5-year-old Dimitri, wrote in to ask us, how does a seed grow into a plant? Thanks for asking, Dimitri. First of all, seeds come in lots of different shapes and sizes, but they're all made of 3 parts. An outer shell called the seed coat, a tiny baby plant that's inside the seed called the embryo, and some plant food for the embryo called endosperm. The seed coat has an important job. It covers the entire seed, protecting the little baby plant inside and keeping it from drying out. The seed coat also has super sensing powers. It has special chemicals in it that can tell when the seed is in the right place to start growing. For example, the sunflower seeds and the pumpkin seeds in your trail mix sense that it's not safe to grow, After all, seeds can't grow when they're surrounded by raisins and chocolate chips. So while the seeds are in a bag or in your hands, it's like they're asleep. The seeds are still alive, but they're dormant or inactive. Some seeds can stay like this for hundreds or even thousands of years. Great question, Squeaks. To get started, every seed needs water, the right temperature, and the right amount of light. Once the seed has these three things, like when it's planted in some nice wet soil, the embryo, or baby plant, gets the signal to start growing. For plants, this growing process is called germination. First, the seed coat lets some water through to the embryo, but the embryo needs more than just water if it's going to grow. Good thing there's a whole bunch of plant food right there inside the seed. Until the plant can make its own food from sunlight, which it will need leaves to do, it relies on the endosperm for energy. It's like the little baby plant has its own backpack of snacks. So the embryo keeps growing and taking in more water until the seed coat cracks open and the embryo kicks out a kind of a foot. But not at all like my foot. The first part of the plant to come out of the seed is the root. The root always grows downward, no matter what way the seed is planted. A seed can actually tell which way is up and which way is down. So the root pushes down deeper and deeper into the soil, looking for more water and minerals to feed the baby plant. Once the plant is all grown up, those deep roots will have another job. They'll help keep the plant from falling over or blowing away in the wind. But soon after the first baby root finds its way into the dirt, another part of the seed pops out, this time in the opposite direction. A shoot, which has the stem of the plant and a few leaves, pushes its way up towards the sunlight. Once the shoot breaks through the soil to the open air above, we say that it's sprouted. Now the plant doesn't need the endosperm anymore because it can make its own food from sunlight. With enough water and sunlight and the right temperature, the young plant will continue to grow, getting bigger and growing more leaves until it's an adult plant and it can produce seeds of its own. Next time you're about to chow down on a handful of sunflower seeds, just think, it's like you've got a whole field of flowers right in your hand. Thanks to our friend Dimitri for asking this great question. And if any of you have a question for any of us here at the fort, let us know by leaving a comment or emailing us at kids@thescishow.com. See you next time, guys. We grow into a plant.
Wow, that was awesome, Rocky.
Ooh, that was
really know how to,
fun.
they really know how to plant a seed.
Yeah, I agree. Well, why don't we try it out for ourselves, right, Mr. Kenny?
Absolutely, Rocky. What you have in mind?
Well, guys, I prepared a very special display for you guys today. Me and Miss Monica really love making plants. So what I have for you guys here is a different array of seeds, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how to plant a plant today. So today, I have so many different seeds out here today. Now, many of you have seen these before, right, Mr. Kenny?
Absolutely.
These are what you call chilies. Similar to when you have, chili peppers and all that other stuff, you know how you season your food with. Now, these are what the chili peppers turn into once they're fully grown. But what do they look like before they're grown? So, this is what the seeds look like before they turn into full-grown plants. They're tiny, tiny seeds. You see how tiny they are?
Wow, they are small.
Imagine seeds this little growing into plants this big. And the seeds stay inside the plant once they're grown. So that's just one type of plant. Another type of plant is one food that a lot of kids may or may not like to eat. I mean, I like these, but not all the time. But this is how they look when they're grown, right? So this is what some of the peas look like once they are before you plant them. And some of you may be surprised. These are what the seeds for green beans look like.
Wow.
Now, I'm going to show you guys exactly how to plant some seeds. Now, if you're going to do this at home, make sure you have your parent or guardian with you so they can help you do it properly. Now, when you're planting your plants, you don't necessarily need a flower pot like you saw on my plants earlier. Something as simple as maybe a Tupperware container or an old margarine container, or even just a plastic cup that you cut down works perfectly fine. So Miss Monica is going to come help me and hold my camera for me so I can show you guys how to do it the right way. All right, guys, so here's what you want to do first. The first thing you want to do is to make sure that you have some potting soil. Potting soil you can get anywhere, or even if you use dirt from outside, but make sure that you have soil. You got to have the seeds, and you got to make sure you have water too. So what you want to do first is read the instructions that come on the packet of seeds you get. So today we're going to be planting some morning glories. Now, the instructions on the back say that a great useful tool to do before planting these is soaking these seeds in warm water for 24 hours. And that's exactly what I did. I don't know if you guys can see, but those tiny little pieces in there are the seeds that I've been soaking for the last 24 hours to prepare for today. I couldn't wait to plant these. So here's what you do first. You get some dirt. Gotta make sure it's open first. You get some dirt, and you can put it in any one of these containers. We're gonna use the little one this time. Gonna get some dirt and put it in your makeshift flower pot. Make sure it's nice and in there, not too much, but not too little either, okay? I'm gonna add just a little bit more. All right, and it should look something like this, okay? You should have all that in there. The next thing that we need is what I call a well. Now, a well is a little hole that you put into your soil so that you can put the seeds inside. So you could take either a spoon, like a small spoon, or even take your finger and you can dip it right in the soil to make a little hole. And it should look something like this. You see that little hole in our dirt?
Yeah, I see.
So you make a little hole, and then we need the seeds. So to keep us from having all this water and no seeds, we're going to drain some of this water out into my other makeshift pot, which I'll use for later. Since they've been soaking for 24 hours, you take a couple seeds, maybe two or three seeds, that's what they look like, and you add them to your dirt. Put them all in there. Probably add one more. All right. You may not be able to see it because there's so much dirt around it, but put it right in your little well. So after that, you gotta cover it. So you take your finger, or you take whatever shovel you're using, or trowel as they call them, the official name for a planting shovel, and you make sure you place it underneath some more dirt. Wow. Then, what was that last thing she said it needs? It needs a place to grow. It needs, that's right guys, water. So you take some water and you spray it a couple times, make sure it's nice and moist. And then the next thing you want to do is put it in some sunlight. And as you said, Mr. Kenny, earlier, I have a great amount of sunlight in my windowsill. So you place it right in the windowsill and leave it to grow. And eventually, this will turn into a full-grown plant or morning glory. Now, guys, me and Ms. Monica always do this normally. So what my mom did a couple weeks ago was she planted a lemon seed. So Ms. Monica took a lemon, she cut it open, and make sure if you do this, you have your parent or guardian around so that we can be safe. She cut it open, and she took the seeds out. Took out some of the seeds, and she planted them in some dirt. Now, she did this a couple weeks ago, and so far, our lemon plant has been growing greatly. This is what it looks like so far.
Cool. Wow. Awesome.
So eventually, these seeds will turn into a full-grown lemon plant. And who knows, maybe in a couple more weeks, me and Miss Monica will have lemons of our own, so we don't have to go to the store and buy them anymore. Granted, the easy way is to buy them, but still, if you can grow it at home and make your free lemons, why not? You know what they say, when life gives you lemons, make a lemon tree.
Great job, Rocky. That was awesome. Let's see. Whoa. You've done a lot today, Rocky, so far, so well. And I know we have some more in store for us today. We're going to have some special guests come on today as well. But what I want to do now is go visit back with our friends from the Sci-Fi Show Kids to see what else they can tell us about how to guess their type of tree video.
Awesome. All right, guys.
Hi guys, Squeaks and I are just getting back from a nature walk. In the fall, we like to collect leaves and figure out which tree they came from. But it's winter here and the plants we're looking at don't don't lose their leaves. So we used our field journal to draw pictures of the evergreens we saw instead. Evergreens are what we call plants that keep their leaves and stay green all year round. And the 3 evergreens that we saw the most were fir, pine, and spruce. They look a lot alike, but we were able to tell them apart by looking at their needles, the long skinny leaves on their branches. And you can learn how to tell the difference between a pine tree, a fir tree, and a spruce tree too. You just need to know a little bit about their needles. Let's start with pine. The easiest way to tell if a tree is a pine tree is by looking at its twigs, the smallest part of its branches. Pay attention to the needles that grow out from the twig. Is there just one needle growing from each spot, or are there little bunches of needles? If you see a bunch of long needles growing out from the same spot, you're probably looking at a pine tree. If you only see one needle growing out of each spot on the twig, then it's not a pine tree. You're looking at a fir tree or a spruce tree. But how do you tell the difference between a fir and a spruce? Well, there's something special about the needles on a fir. They're flat, so flat that it's hard to roll a fir needle between your fingers. But spruce needles don't look flat. They're more square-shaped with 4 sides. And it's pretty easy to roll a spruce needle between your fingers. So the main difference between these trees are that the needles on a pine tree grow in bunches, and the needles on a fir tree are flat, and the needles on a spruce are kind of square-shaped. Okay, Squeaks, now that we know the difference between a pine, a fir, and a spruce, let's see if we can tell the kinds of trees we saw on our walk by looking at your field drawings. Let's play Guess That Evergreen. Ooh, look at this one. The needles aren't growing out from the twigs in bunches, so we know it's not a pine. The next thing we can check is the shape of the needles. They look kind of flat to me. You too, Squeaks? Okay, I think it's a fir. And we're right. Okay, let's look at this second one. This one looks a lot like the fir we just saw, with each needle growing from its own spot, but it's hard to tell if they're flat. Did you draw another picture of just the needles? Oh, great. Okay, let's look at them from the side. Oh, those are definitely not flat needles. I think I can see 4 sides, so this must be a spruce. And yes, we got it. Okay, last one. This one has long needles, but I can't tell if they're square or flat from this picture. That's right, Squeaks. Look at the long needles. They're growing in bunches. This is a pine tree. And yes, we got them all right. How'd you guys do at home? The next time you go for a nature walk or even a walk around your neighborhood, pay attention to the leaves around you. Are they evergreens? Can you tell what kind? Maybe even draw a picture of them. Thanks for learning about pine, fir, and spruce trees with us. If you want to share your field journal drawings with us, you can email us at kids@scishow.com. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time here at the fort.
Wow, that was awesome, Rocky. We learned a lot about the different types of trees. So hopefully next time our scouts go out walking with their friends and family, or if they go on their next camping trip, they can hopefully identify what some trees look like. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea. Maybe, next time when we can go out and, go into the woods or even go camping at Mustard Scout Reservation, you can always check out the trees that they have there. I remember one time I went to Mustard Scout Reservation and they had fresh blueberries just growing wildly. It was very, very different and very strange. Who would have thought that at camp you would see different types of plants like that? Now, everyone knows that plants are used for food, but what else are they used for? Well, we have a special guest who's going to teach us all about the power of plants and how we as humans use them. Our special guest's name is Mr. Arlen Hotchkiss. Hi, Mr. Hotchkiss. How are you?
Here, I'm very happy to talk to you, and that's because besides being a scout leader, I'm a plant scientist, and I'm going to share my screen right now so we can talk about some of the things that are near and dear to my heart, and that's plant power, or the things that plants are used for. So as you can see, I work for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and we're going to talk about some of the things that are in plants. See if I can get my screen to advance here. There we go. All right, so this is a great diagram that talks about the things that you get from plants or that are in plants, and we're going to go through some of these things and talk about all the things that are important from plants, and mainly trees. And you can see here we have one of the first things that we just talked about as far as the plants having food. And these are all the different fruits that you can have produced by trees, and in some cases, they're more than just fruits from trees. Some of these are produced by vines, or some of these fruits actually are in the ground. But the list on the left here are all the different fruits you can find grown on trees. And you can see many of these things are things you hopefully like. They're very healthy for you. So trees and plants are a great source of food. And most of these fruits are very sweet, so hopefully you like them. Another thing you can get from plants, and particularly trees, are wood products. So some of these things here you see are examples of furniture and different decorative objects that you would have in your home, chests and chairs and tables. And you can also, of course, make whole houses and shelters out of wood products that you see in this cabin here. So that's another great example of wood products that you can live in and walk on. And of course, you can have all different types of boards and logs and things made from wood. And some of these are plywood. So this is a cheaper way to make wood products that are kind of reinforced pieces of wood that are used for building things. So when you cut up all these different wood products, there's a lot of sawdust and particles left over that you see in this pile here. And this can be used in mulch in your gardens, and you can either use this for keeping things moist or decorative purposes. But some of these products that are wood shavings are actually used and made into pellets you can use for heating your home. So these are wood pellets that are used for things that are pellet stoves, or you can actually use these things to make biofuels out of to actually drive your cars. So another important wood product that you're probably familiar with is baseball bats. So there are a lot of different recreational things that are made out of wood. And the ash tree that is very common in our area is very popular and a great wood source for making baseball bats. So if you ever are at the baseball park again, hopefully we'll get back to that point where we can go to see baseball games or play baseball games. And you will actually be using wooden bats that are made out of ash trees. We also talked about the medicines or different things that will make you well that come from trees. And here's a slide that shows all different types of trees that have different medicinal uses. And I'll just go over a couple of these. Willow trees are things that grow in our area. And this is something where the bark from the willow tree is actually used to make an aspirin. And so it is a great example of something where you can get the chemical compounds that are in aspirin from this tree bark here, the willow tree. And I'll mention another one. The yew tree here has bark in it that produces a compound that is called Taxol that is used in treating breast cancer and ovarian cancer. So all of these different trees make things that are used to fight these diseases or make you healthy. But I want to be very important to mention that these are things that are used by pharmaceutical companies to make drugs, and plants make a lot of different chemical compounds, and some of those chemical compounds are poisonous. So I don't want you to go out there and just peel the bark off a willow tree and use it as an aspirin. You need to take the things that your doctor actually prescribes that are safe for you to eat and to use for medicinal purposes. So this is just to make you realize that there are a lot of important medicines that come from trees and plants. As we talked about earlier also, the air that we breathe that contains oxygen, if we didn't have plants, then there wouldn't be enough oxygen for us to breathe. The air that we breathe only has about 21% oxygen in it, and plants make oxygen by taking carbon dioxide, or actually what we as animals breathe out, and they convert it into the food that they make by photosynthesis, or taking the energy from the sun, and the thing that's produced as far as gas that comes out from plants is oxygen. So there's a cycle that is constantly going on where animals, including us, will release carbon dioxide, plants take it in, and then they give off oxygen. So if we didn't have enough plants, then we would not be able to breathe the air because there just wouldn't be enough oxygen. So we're very indebted to having enough plants. And these graphics here show some of the other things, that this carbon dioxide that is released into the air is actually a form of air pollution that contributes to climate change. And so this study in Little Rock showed that the power of trees was able to remove this much metric tons of carbon dioxide from the air, is also able to reduce the air pollution by this much. And it was also helpful in controlling the rainwater storm runoff by this many gallons of water. So all these things are very important. And what you see here is the shade that's given by trees. That's also very important. Did you know that when you go on a hot, sunny summer day from the sun in a city to a shaded area, like in one of our parks, there's on average a 10-degree difference in the temperature. So besides shading cars, it's also very important for shading us. And I think you'll probably realize that the next time you go out on a real hot, sunny day. So what do we mean as far as some of this water and flooding and soil erosion? This is a good picture of soil erosion that you see here. And the basic idea here is that if you have plants growing on a hillside, and these can be trees or they can be grasses or other plants, the soil that is held up by the roots of these plants acts as a big sponge. So if the rain falls down on a very steep hillside, the water gets soaked up into the soil like a sponge, and it just slowly drains down the hillside. Whereas on this side, if the rain falls on a piece of ground that's bare, doesn't have any grass or trees or anything on it, it's just going to roll down that hillside, and then when it gets to the bottom, it's going to wash all that soil away and cause erosion, and then eventually it's going to cause flooding in the bottom of that valley. So that's another very important thing as far as soils. I want to just end up by talking about a couple of other things that you may not have realized. Plants, as I said earlier, are very important for making the oxygen that we breathe, but what a lot of people have done as far as designing offices and buildings in general, particularly in cities, is to make these green walls that you see in these two pictures here. And that means that even in an office building, you're getting enough oxygen produced to be able to breathe well. And you can see this kid here, they're actually taking a little sample of this vegetable. It looks like it might be some cauliflower, and probably having a little snack from that. Well, there's another area called urban agriculture that you see here, where using hydroponics or growing plants in these trays under lights with water instead of soil, where you can have hundreds and thousands of plants produced kind of in a big factory thing. And this sort of thing is going on in Philadelphia. And you can see in this bottom picture here, this is an example of a community garden that's on a rooftop in Kensington and the Greensboro area. So it's a very important thing of what we're doing in cities right now as far as having locally grown gardens and using hydroponics to make enough food that's very healthy for you to eat. There's a whole field of urban agriculture developing so that you can have plants grown and feeding people in cities with things that are in the cities where you don't have to transport them a long ways away, and you can actually participate in making some of these community gardens. If you're really interested in that, I suggest you think about maybe going to Saul High School, where there's a great agricultural program in the Roxborough area of Philadelphia. That's something that the Scouts are going to partner with as far as working on some of these urban agriculture things in the future. So with that, I'll thank you for listening to me. And as you can see, I'm very excited about plants. I've worked with plants as far as being a scientist all of my life, and I'm very happy to be on here with Rocket and Kenny Day. So thank you very much.
Great job, Arlen. Thanks a lot. That was very informative, guys, and some great information. I hope you guys really learned a lot about plants and trees today, so we can certainly have a great time moving forward and continue with our Scout promises, guys. Now, before we close out, we want to make sure you get online for what's tomorrow, Rocket?
All right, guys, what's tomorrow? What's tomorrow? Tomorrow is our Facebook fun live tomorrow. I'm going to be there. Mr. Kenny's going to be there. We're going to have a special guest. Make sure all of you guys are there tomorrow. Either be there or be square. Now, Mr. Kenny, do you mind closing us out today?
Absolutely. It's time to do our Scouts benediction. Okay, guys, boys and girls, signs up. May the greatest Scoutmaster of all Scouts be with us until we meet again. Pack the Smiths. Take care, guys. Thanks a lot.
All right, guys, remember, when life gives you lemons, oh, God, plant a lemon tree. Bye, guys.
Great job.